Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Mechanic, a John Tyler thriller, by Tom Fowler, narrated by Eric Jason Martin. Chapter 1. There you go. Line it up and squeeze the trigger. John Tyler directed his daughter, Lexi, using the power screwdriver to tighten a bolt. They both lay under a decade-old Honda Accord coupe in desperate need of a new exhaust system. The old one showed more rust than unmarred metal. Tyler found a replacement which would sound better, add more horsepower through enhanced efficiency, and check in at 10 pounds lighter. Lexi took her free hand off of the muffler. "I think I got it, Dad." Tyler scooted closer to check their work. All the connections proved solid as he grabbed and tested them. He brought the knowledge and experience to the project, but Lexi did at least half the work. "Looks good. We might make a mechanic out of you yet." Lexi squirmed out from under the Honda and stood. Despite the summer heat in the garage, she wore jeans and a long-sleeved shirt. "I think that's more your skill set than mine." Tyler crawled out and lowered the powerful jacks holding the coupe up at each corner. "You did well, though." "I had a good teacher," she said with a smile. It was an expression Tyler missed seeing a lot of while Lexi grew up. "Most of this work isn't hard," he said. "We tackled the difficult bits when we were under the hood." They both walked into the house and changed into clothes more befitting the weather. At the kitchen counter, Tyler drank from a bottle of water, and he pushed one toward Lexi when she sat beside him. "Thanks, Dad. It was a lot of work, but I'm glad I have a car." She'd chosen it herself. Like both her parents, Lexi loved driving fast. She and Tyler scoured online listings. He'd also looked in the newspaper classifieds, though he didn't confess the low-tech hunt to Lexi, before she selected the right car. Other than the exhaust and the normal wear and tear coming from age, the coupe was in good shape. The combination of the V6 and manual transmission would allow for some fun behind the wheel. "I figured you'd be driving it to college," Tyler said. "I'm glad you're going online." Lexi unscrewed the cap and downed half the water in a single gulp. "I don't feel comfortable going on campus." "I know. It's nice to have you here." Lexi had lived with Tyler a little more than a year now. Between deployments and moving around, he'd missed a lot of time during her formative years. A couple months ago, he quit his job with a private security company. With Lexi's mother in jail, Tyler wanted to be a reliable parent. His daughter was too polite to call him out on being absent, but she'd been ecstatic when he resigned. "Don't get all sentimental on me, old man. Aren't you supposed to look for a job?" Tyler nodded. "I need to. It's just weird." "Yeah," he said. "I don't think I've ever applied for a job before." Lexi shot him a funny look. "Enlisting isn't the same thing. Then, when I left the service, I knew I had a gig waiting for me." He shrugged. "I don't even have a resume." "If you want to make one," Lexi said, "I can help you. I think you should start with the listings, though. See what's out there. You have a lot of experience." "I don't think many tanks or Humvees pull into civilian repair shops." She grinned. "Well, if they do, you'll be very qualified to work on them." Lexi drained the rest of her water and stood. "I have a virtual visit with school soon. Let me know if you need a hand putting a resume together." "I will," Tyler said. Lexi stood beside Tyler, wrapped her left arm around him, and kissed him on the cheek. At 5'8", she stood only 2 inches shorter than him. "Thanks again, Dad." "You might want a shower before you get online with your college." "I'll have to do it after," she said, walking upstairs. "Good thing they can't smell me on the call." Tyler sat at the counter, staring at his water bottle. After years of not being a great parent, he'd adjusted to being a full-time father. Lexi finished high school, made the honor roll, and earned a partial scholarship to the University of Maryland. She inherited her smarts from both parents, her looks from her mother, thank goodness, and her attitude from both. After an interesting year, Tyler liked having his daughter live with him. He finally had a chance to make it right, and he meant to take it. Lexi checked her hair in the mirror. She'd tied her dark brown locks back into a ponytail. Sweating in the garage made any other style impossible. The college encouraged people to turn their video on, and she would. She'd even chosen a virtual background for the occasion. Lexi clicked on the link in her email invitation. WebEx launched, and she connected to the online conference call. Once it got underway, her advisor walked her and a dozen other students through course selection, picking a major, and accessing online materials. All her fellow freshmen said they originally planned to attend in person. The advisor hoped the spring semester would allow for it. Lexi did too. She enjoyed living with her father, but she also wanted a chance to be on her own. Her dad got to leave home for the Army, and her mother moved most of the way across the country for college almost 30 years ago. Toward the end of the session, everyone shared what they'd been working on for the first few weeks of summer. A couple guys who dressed like they lived in the gym boasted about shredding their workouts. Lexi rolled her eyes. The worst part about going to school on campus would be the frat boys who lived down to every stereotype. When it came around to her, Lexi said she'd worked on fixing a car with her dad. No one said anything until the advisor asked, "Is it his car?" "No," Lexi said. "It's mine. I figured I'd be commuting in it every day, but at least I'll have something to drive now." A screen full of neutral expressions staring back at her told Lexi no one shared her enthusiasm for cars. If she revealed she'd be working a stick shift, the reactions probably would have been worse. Her dad remarked it was a great anti-theft device. It also made driving a lot more fun. "Well, we hope to see you in it when the campus fully reopens," the advisor said politely. Lexi disconnected a few minutes later and perused the course catalog. She hadn't decided on a major, but first-year requirements chewed up all her selections. Some courses still listed building and room numbers, even though they'd be offered virtually. Lexi made a few selections and submitted them to her academic counselor. Then she kicked her sweaty clothes off, turned the water on full blast, and took a badly needed shower. A job. It seemed like such a simple concept. Most people worked. The last time Tyler thought about what he wanted to do, he was 18. He enlisted, then toured the world for the next 24 years, sometimes choosing where he went and others going where the Army sent him. When he retired, he already had the gig at Patriot Security lined up. Now, 32 years since he made a meaningful decision about his future employment, Tyler pondered what to do next. When Tyler quit Patriot, he envisioned working on classic cars. He owned one, after all, and he'd restored it and even modernized it a little himself. In the Army, he originally went in as a mechanic, keeping tanks and Hummers running in some of the worst conditions on Earth. Scavenging parts and rigging temporary repairs were daily acts of necessity. Fixing someone's 40-year-old Camaro would be easy by comparison. Job listings online proved depressing. Every posting wanted someone to work on modern cars. Tyler could stumble his way through the computer on his desk, but he didn't care for ever-growing systems in current vehicles. Besides, the shops wanted certifications he didn't possess, and practical experience he'd never had the chance to acquire. Tyler shut down his laptop. If the cars he wanted to work on didn't run on computers, why should he find the job in such a way? He walked to the kitchen, snagged the Baltimore Sun off the counter, and took it back to his desk. The classifieds beckoned. Did they even call them the want ads anymore? Tyler remembered when job listings were the thickest part of the paper. Now they were down to a few pages, having grown even thinner since spring. He discovered 2 listings for a classic car mechanic. Smitty & Son, by far the closer of the two, was the winner by default. Tyler wanted to check out the shop at his interview, if he got one. Reconnaissance was important. Wandering into a situation blind increased the odds of things not ending well. The location was easy enough to find, and the business sat in a good area. Tyler circled the ad and committed the address to memory. He hoped the owner would be amenable to hiring someone without much of a documented history. Since leaving his security gig, Tyler chafed for steady work. Lexi wouldn't admit it, but he thought she got tired of having him around all the time. Multiple deployments for special operations interrupted his work as a mechanic, but Tyler always enjoyed fixing things. He understood cars, trucks, and tanks. People, daughters in particular, were another story altogether. Maybe after more than 3 decades of following orders, he could have a normal life. Kent Maxwell looked up as the email chime on his laptop dinged. He glanced at the sender's name, Arthur Bell. "Damn it," he grumbled as he opened the message. "Maxwell, your company's review is due tomorrow. Please contact me at once. Arthur Bell." The date in the taskbar confirmed what Bell said. Maxwell logged into his company's bank account and frowned. He could cover Bell's blood money, but they'd need to make some headway soon. Maxwell set up the transfer and clicked yes when the site prompted him to confirm. Then he logged off and closed his laptop lid with much more force than the manufacturer recommended. Maxwell picked up the phone and made a call. Arthur Bell picked up. "Good morning." "We secure?" "We are," Bell said. "I submitted the review paperwork." Maxwell kept his language in line with Bell's, like they'd agreed to when they first made the arrangement. "Excellent. I'm sure things will go smoothly." "You gonna confirm receipt?" Maxwell said. "I'll let you know if there's an issue." Bell paused. "How goes the work?" "It's going." "You're not going to tell me anything else?" Maxwell leaned back in his chair and sighed. "Fine. I think we're close." "How close?" Hard to know for sure." Maxwell recalled the encrypted memo he read last night. War changed the landscape of Afghanistan, and the easy markers of the past were gone. A knowledgeable local put them on to a possible location. It took 3 hours of torture, but he complied, and a bullet to the head after an additional hour of agony ensured his silence. "We have a good lead on the location." "Good," Bell said. "What about the potential complication you mentioned last time?" Maxwell smiled, even though he was alone in his office. "It'll be dealt with soon." Chapter 2. It took until the next day for someone to answer at Smitty & Son. Based on the qualities of the voice, Tyler presumed he spoke to the former. Whoever answered was willing to talk about the open position in person. Tyler cold-called 2 other shops he knew and got swiftly rejected each time. Smitty won by default again. Tyler put on a pair of black chinos and a red button-down shirt. While Tyler inhaled a mug of coffee, Lexi came downstairs and poured herself a cup. She looked at him and raised an eyebrow. "You're looking fancy. For you, at least." "I'm going to see a man about working as a classic car mechanic." "That's great, Dad." Lexi smiled and clinked her mug against his. "Oh, I'm so glad you're getting to use what you know." "Me too," Tyler said. "You've always told me you were a mechanic. Now you're getting another chance." "I doubt I'll get pulled away this time." "Enjoy it, Dad. Go do what you're meant to." "You sound like your grandfather now," Tyler said. Lexi nodded. "He's a smart guy. A man's got to be who he is. One of these days I need to ask him if it extends to women, too." Tyler grinned. "I'm sure it does, even if it may take him a little while to admit it." His daughter took her coffee upstairs, and Tyler climbed into his 1972 Oldsmobile 442. Even if he owned a different car, Smitty might want to see this one as a sort of audition. Tyler left the Mount Washington area of Baltimore, picked up Northern Parkway, and took it east. Architecture morphed with the neighborhoods, starting out fancy at Roland Park, but growing older and more run down as he passed Mercy High School. As he made a left onto Bel Air Road and headed toward Overlea, he realized the area changed a lot since the last time he drove through. Some of the restaurants and businesses he remembered had shut their doors, and new ones sprang up in the same locations. After cresting a hill, Tyler saw the shop on the right and pulled into the lot. A sign mounted above the asphalt flickered on the word "Sun." Side streets surrounded the property, and a church sat immediately past it. Maybe people whose cars were beyond fixing could go there and pray about it. Tyler walked around the building, which wasn't much to look at. There were 3 garage bays, and the windows in 2 were broken and covered in plastic. The bottom glass panel of the main door had received the same treatment. Tyler paused at the door. Was this random vandalism? Bad weather? What was he walking into? It took a few seconds of pondering, but Tyler opened the door. A quiet electronic chime rang when he walked in. The front area of the interior held a coffee pot, medium-sized TV, and 4 chairs for the waiting room. Despite the brew station, the place smelled of metal shavings and oil. The linoleum floor had seen better days. Wood paneling clung to the walls like it was still the 80s, and it begged for someone to give it a good cleaning. A laptop sat on the counter, and behind it were 3 desks, all set with one short edge against the wall. In the middle of the wall, a door led to the repair bays. A man of about 60 emerged from there. His appearance could be a good sign. The 2 guys who rejected him over the phone sounded young, like new enlisted men. Here was a seasoned sergeant major. He wiped his hands on a towel. "Help you?" "I called earlier about your ad." "Oh, right. Tom Smith. They call me Smitty." He nodded. Tyler bobbed his head in return. He imagined every large neighborhood in an eastern city like Baltimore held a Smitty and a Sully. "John Tyler. I go by Tyler." Smitty eyed Tyler like he knew him, but moved on to business. "You got a resume or anything?" "Haven't made one of those in... ever?" "No shit," Smitty said with wide eyes. Tyler shrugged. "I enlisted in the Army at 18, spent 24 years there. Then I went into private security. I left a few months ago." "I thought I recognized you." "You're one up on me, then," Tyler said. Smitty pointed to a picture mounted on the paneled wall behind the largest desk. "My son, Jake. He's a reservist now, but several years ago, you talked to him about special operations." Tyler looked at the photo. Bits of the conversation played in his memory. It happened after his 3rd tour in Afghanistan. "It must have been a decade or so by now." "Probably," Smitty said. "My boy did well." "Where is he now?" "Taking some time off. His name's on the sign, but he ain't here too much. It's why I'm trying to hire someone." "Conveniently enough, I'm here to apply." "You were Special Forces?" Smitty asked. Tyler nodded. "For a while. 4 tours of Afghanistan. The rest of the time I was a 91 Bravo, wheeled vehicle mechanic." "Now you want to work on classic cars?" "Better than computerized ones. I fixed Jeeps and Hummers in the service." Smitty walked behind the counter and retrieved a dingy mug. He poured himself a cup of coffee whose consistency reminded Tyler of motor oil. "Want any?" "I already had 2, Tyler said. "A 3rd ain't gonna hurt." Based on what Smitty poured out of the pot, it probably would. "Maybe later." Smitty added some powdered creamer, stirred the dull brown liquid, and took a sip. "So you split your time between working on vehicles and special operations?" Tyler nodded. "You better at fixing cars or shooting people?" "I'd like to think I'm good at both." "Anything else?" "You can check out my car." Tyler tossed him the key. "I've done all the work myself." "What are you driving?" "The 442 out there?" "I'll take a look." Smitty walked outside. Tyler didn't watch him, instead looking at the desks. He presumed the largest one belonged to Smitty himself. When your name was first on the sign, you got the biggest workspace. The second looked like the larger model at 3/4 scale. The third desk was basically shoved into the corner. It looked straight out of a middle school surplus store. A minute later, the chime dinged again. "What year is she?" Smitty said. 72. "Rocket V8? You looked at it," said Tyler. "All 455 cubic inches worth." "Didn't want the 350? Smitty asked. "Why would you ever get the smaller engine?" "The automatic, though?" "Needed one," Tyler said. "Lots of wear and tear on my legs. I couldn't handle stop and go with a stick anymore." "Original parts? Is this a quiz?" "Maybe," Smitty said with a smile. "Hell, I like the fact you called it a 442 instead of a 442. Young people get it wrong." "They get a lot wrong," Tyler said. The comment drew a knowing smirk. "Original parts?" "Mostly. I've gotten a little more power out of the engine. It's about 400 now. And I just put a new titanium exhaust on." "You said you were looking for a job?" If this constituted a job interview, it was easy. "I am." "Good. Can you start at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning?" "I'll be here," Tyler said. "See you then," said Smitty. They bumped elbows. Tyler walked out and got back in his car. He smiled and pounded the steering wheel. Lexi would be pleased. No more bureaucracy, no more petty bosses, no more shooting and killing. He could finally move on with his life. Jake Smith looked at his phone. It was the second burner he bought this week. They learned the number of the first one. A few threatening texts later, and Jake tossed it off a bridge and purchased a different model. So far, no one reached out to him. He'd maintained radio silence on his end. The contact listed as Tom's Pizza was really his father. Jake wanted to call him and let him know things were all right. For large values of all right, at least. Sure, he was hiding out in a hotel he'd never set foot in otherwise, keeping a constant watch on his surroundings, and doing his best to sleep with one eye open. It all beat the alternative. The Army taught Jake a few things about tech, and he used what he learned now to help himself stay a step ahead of his pursuers. This hotel didn't have much in the way of security. It made sneaking downstairs and installing a wide-angle webcam above the door easy. Jake also set one up in the hallway leading to his room. He could monitor the stairs and elevator at the same time. Both devices fed their data into an app on his phone. Motion activated them, and they could last a couple days on a single charge. Jake's mobile would buzz once when the front door camera picked something up, and twice for the hallway. He figured the second one going off gave him a minute to get out of the room. It would be enough time. He'd done it before. Jake sat on the bed. His father always taught him to be honest, tell the truth, do the right thing. He did, and it landed him squarely in the soup. The Army talked a good game about wanting soldiers to report bad behavior. They didn't do a lot to protect those who came forward, however. Once Jake learned he vaulted to enemy number 1 on his former commander's list, he hit the road, and he'd been there for the last week. He wanted to get out of the city, but he also needed to make sure nothing happened to his dad. It was a delicate and tiring balance. One day soon, he hoped he could go back to a normal life. Chapter 3. Tyler woke up early. He'd been doing it since he was 18, and no matter the day or occasion, his brain kicked into gear around 6 o'clock. He trudged downstairs, started a pot of coffee, and brought the newspaper in. The delivery guy kept it in the same zip code as his front porch this time. After a hot cup of caffeine and a quick perusal of depressing headlines, Tyler walked back upstairs. He sat in an old wooden chair his grandfather made by hand. A fresh sheet of cold-pressed watercolor paper stared back at him. Despite never being a talented artist, Tyler had been painting for about 6 years. A psychiatrist at the VA diagnosed him with PTSD. She offered a couple of possible alternative therapeutic suggestions because Tyler loathed the idea of a support group. He chose painting. It sounded like bunk at first, but he could track his moods in his outputs. When he first took it up, his work was dark and gloomy. Over time, and with semi-regular visits to the shrink, the colors brightened, and the gloominess left. Recently, Tyler took to drawing classic cars he liked. His most recent effort, a Corvette, waited for a frame. He didn't display much of his work out of concerns for the quality of the output and his own privacy. The Vet looked good, though. It deserved a spot on the wall. A short while into his new hobby, Tyler upgraded his supplies. He bought a proper easel, better paper, and high-quality watercolors. They helped elevate the quality of his compositions. His father's voice reminded him only a poor craftsman would blame his tools, but Tyler saw the results. Practice helped, but so did working with better materials. Tyler started with the blue sky, choosing a color to represent the early morning. He would let it dry before adding the sun. He'd rushed this on some of his initial projects and paid for it with a dismal circle of green on the horizon. White, fluffy clouds would come next. Early on, Tyler blitzed through paintings as quickly as he could. Over time, he grew to appreciate what he did, and each now took many hours longer than they did then. After filling in the sky and drawing a ribbon of black stretching into the distance, Tyler packed up his supplies. He threw on a pair of jeans and a plain black T-shirt. Lexi's bedroom door remained closed. Like most teenagers, she could sleep for 12 hours and still manage to be tired at night. When he got downstairs, Tyler left her a quick note on the dining room table. He climbed into the 442 and drove to Smitty & Son. 25 minutes later, Tyler parked in the lot and walked into the shop. The chime went off when the door opened, and Smitty's head whipped around. His shoulders loosened, and his grip on the desk relaxed. Tyler frowned. "Everything all right?" "Sure." Smitty waved a hand. "Didn't sleep well last night. I guess I'm a little jumpy is all." It made Tyler wonder. The outside of the shop still showed damage. It could have been bad weather, or maybe a few local punks wreaking havoc. Then there was the matter of Smitty's son, missing in action, allegedly taking some time off. The whole situation added up to something dangerous, and Tyler didn't care for the math. He was finished playing hero. "Nothing else is wrong?" "Nope," Smitty said. "You here to be a shrink or work on cars? I don't pay to sit on your couch." "All right. What do we have today?" Smitty jerked his head to the side. "Oil change on the Camaro in Bay 1. Tyler smiled. "Starting me off easy?" "Pretty much." A locker inside the repair area held work shirts, and Tyler slipped one on. It was a little long, but it fit pretty well. He raised the Camaro and inspected the undercarriage. The exhaust was aftermarket and recent, but most of the engine looked original. Changing the oil would be quick and easy. Tyler wondered why someone who drove such a classic car wouldn't also do at least the basic maintenance on it. While old sludge drained into a pan, Tyler looked through the window. Smitty sat behind the desk. He glanced around often and nearly jumped out of his seat when the phone rang. A growing unease gripped Tyler as he wondered what Smitty was involved in. Jake tossed and turned throughout the night. He hadn't gotten any real sleep in at least 2 weeks. The price he paid for what he did. "It's worth it," he told himself. He repeated the mini mantra every morning. Some days, belief came easier than others. When he rolled out of bed, Jake checked his phone first. No activity anywhere. He was safe for now. He got in the shower, and the hot water helped him wake up. He'd need to figure out washing his clothes soon. Jake put on his last clean ones and stuffed what he wore the previous day into his rucksack. He checked his app again. Still good. When Jake dropped out of sight, he knew he'd be missing out on things like eating in restaurants and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?